putting the people first will come back to you in profit.
I want to know very clearly how I win in this if things go well.
In a heart-centered space, you can tell when someone really cares about what they do.
If you do that, you will crush life.
Handshake deals don't work all the time. You can be kind and still get paid. And you're like, I trust you. But then when the money gets involved, where's the trust go?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Grant Wise here. Welcome back to the Partner and Profit Podcast. I'm really excited today to introduce you to our guest. She is a phenomenal leader, phenomenal coach, phenomenal director is how I met her, running incredible masterminds. And we're so excited to have an amazing conversation today. I'd like to introduce you all to Brandi Munguia. I got the name right. Let's go. Brandi, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Grant, for having me. Grant Wise for having me. No, it's honestly, I love that Wise is your last name because there is a deep wisdom to you. And I love that we're talking about partners and profit today because when we look at the sovereignty that comes from building business and partnering with the right people and really being able to grow in expanding businesses, but also the power of camaraderie. And I'm so grateful that you're having me here today. So thank you so much for having me. And I'm really looking forward to diving right in here.
Yes, I want to dive in too. But as I was introducing you, I saw some movement in the background.
Oh,
I was like, what is that?
Forgive me. I have a little baby kitty here. For all the parents in the room, I am babysitting my daughter's baby kitty. So if you see a little bit of movement back here, it's just mom life.
Let's go. What's the cat's name?
Her name is Summer, and I just call her baby. She's just my baby, and she's very precious and quiet back there. So hopefully she doesn't.
She looks like she's chilling. That's for sure. All right. So for those of people that are listening to this that maybe don't know who you are, just give us a little bit of the background. How did you get to where you are today?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'll try to keep a long story short. And I have been in the entrepreneurial space for, oh my gosh, almost 10 years now. And I've gotten the honor and privilege to get to serve in some of the strongest arenas that you may know in the personal development space and the business space. I've been a speaker and a head coach and an executive director for some of the most incredible titans in the industry. And I really made that pivot and decision to move into strategy and to be a strategic advisor for founders. And I specialize in events and high ticket offers and being able to support founders, not only being visionaries, but like having the strategy attached to that and building the culture around that so that they can have a sustainable brand and a scalable brand that attracts lighthouse experiences. I think a lot of that comes from what we're going to talk about today in regards to cultivating safety and spaces for people to expand. And that's become such a deep passion of mine that I said, you know what, I'm ready to move into that space and go fully in on being a strategic advisor. And it has been absolutely incredible to support founders and watching their visions come to life and being involved in events and really seeing that impact that happens from the vision of different founders and their brands. So really
I love it. You said something a second ago. Did you say lighthouse coaches or lighthouse clients?
No, like lighthouse in their brands. So
yeah. Can you expand on that for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. So when curating mastermind experiences or high level, bespoke business clubs, they become a lighthouse for entrepreneurs that are in the knowledge industry or are, facilitating spaces that are workshop or those types of things. Every founder wants safety. They want a space where they can expand with peers. And so to cultivate those spaces that are trusted, curating it in a way that makes sense for not just the leader of that club, but for the members of that space. And it becomes a lighthouse for those who are ascending through different businesses. And rather, in the spaces I've been in, a lot of those founders facilitate different offers that speak volume to people in startup or people who are in an online marketing space. And so when there's a place for them to look forward to in their success, it becomes a lighthouse. It becomes, gosh, I'll be there one day. And for the bespoke space that is really safe rooms and very high quality, highly invested spaces, the bespoke whisper campaign of you know about it when you know about it is a different type of space than a space where people look at and say, I want to be there one day. So yeah, like kind of twofold on that side of things, but it is a goal to get to a level of success, and that becomes a lighthouse for a lot of brands. And that's why some brands hold masterminds and hold private business clubs and things like that, because it becomes like, I want to get there one day and I'm going to work hard to get there.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Well, you didn't say this in some of your background. You kind of did, but bragging on you a little bit. I met you obviously when you were the director of the Edge Mastermind, put on by mastermind.com, which is founded by Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. So when you say titans of the industry, like you actually do mean that. Like you've got some serious chops running masterminds and helping people grow their business. When we talk about partnerships and relationships and growing your business and profiting through those, what are some of the strategies that you've both seen executed on and you advise people on to help them, take their businesses to the next level?
Ooh, I love this question, because there is a safety in kind of being like an entrepreneurial matchmaker. When you come into spaces that are vetted, it's also about who in that space could we effectively introduce, making strategic partnerships happen, and where there's a vetting process as well. That was something when I looked at coming into that space and really, really holding it at a high standard before I left. It was where I looked at does it make sense for the individuals in that space, and not just people can't just buy a spot. There's this level of integrity that comes from saying, am I ready to be here? Can I contribute to this space, not just take from this space? And that was something I really admired about you, Grant, being in that space, was that you were so rooted in contribution. How can I contribute to this space? How can I, meet people here and give back to this arena? And I think there's so much power in that contribution. So when you're curating spaces and they're built on that understanding of contribution and camaraderie, there's a natural growth that happens from that. So that was something something I very much enjoyed, kind of being an entrepreneurial matchmaker in that way. Finding people and saying, this is your zone of genius. Well, I know someone else who could benefit from your zone of genius. So what would it look like if you guys came together? Because their zone of genius can benefit you and you can benefit them. And then it becomes this camaraderie exchange versus a transactional relationship, and so yeah, that's kind of my take on that.
It is really interesting how masterminds work, right? Like it's a bunch of people that are getting together, speaking from experience, partnering, doing deals. It's really the essence of a mastermind, and you guys did it so well. I was on the phone this morning. I was being interviewed this morning on another podcast, and we were talking about the interview was like, look, I've just made it my mission to grow other people's businesses, and then as a result, my business grows. And that's really kind of like the essence of a mastermind, isn't it? It's like, I'm just here to help you grow your business, and I'm sure you're going to help me grow mine. Let's just figure it out.
What was so unique about the space, which I enjoyed being a part of that, and what I get to do now for my clients, is I enjoy working with the heart-centered entrepreneur, the one that really knows that when you put people first, the profit follows. And if you try to put profit first, you're going to lose the people. And what's really important is, by being people-driven, it will allow the expansion to happen of reciprocity exchange. Now, all of the listeners that are listening, you've probably heard we're in a trust recession. A lot of people are very much losing trust because things have become so transactional. And when you curate space and you curate relationships that are truly rooted in contribution, putting the people first will come back to you in profit, not through expectation, through the contribution. When we lead with that integrity to contribute, it will come back to you tenfold. And I had seen that truly seen that, not just in the rooms that I curated, but also in my courage to leave when I made my decision to exit this brand, incredible brand. A lot of people were like, you're crazy. Why are you exiting? It was knowing that I was meant for more and I was seeking to do more and be more in that way. And the contribution of my peers, the contribution of people that were like, you're available. How do I support you? And leaning in. And I know, Grant, you are one of those people. So grateful for you. But also looking at where do you lean in to your peers when they want to help? And that reciprocity exchange, because you've helped so many people. And there's people who want to give back and want to support. And so when we root that in a truly heart-centered, authentic way, it will absolutely come back to you in tenfold. You don't have to try so hard when you are truly in a flow state of contribution and giving.
Yeah.
It's just a really powerful place to be.
I love it. As an entrepreneurial matchmaker, there might be people listening to this like, how do I know who to look out to, or the best partnerships, or who is my entrepreneurial match? How do I know who I could partner with to really grow my thing? What would you look for on a consistent basis? Be like, oh, I know I've got to connect these two people. Like, how did you do that?
Oh, this is Grant, you're asking really great questions today. I would say like one of the things that I looked for in regards to how people operate, one of the things is that in a heart-centered space, you can tell when someone really cares about what they do, when they really do care about moving the needle for someone else and they have a zone of genius that's theirs. They come to the table with a sense of understanding. They want to understand where they can contribute. They want to understand the person that they're contributing to. It comes from a depth of caring. Where I notice red flags in conversations, and especially in spaces and places I've been outside of the roles I was in, they're very transactional. What can you do for me versus how can I support you? There's very much a different tonality that comes with how can I support you versus what can you do for me, and or the language of what can I do for you. It's like, what does it look like when the language is how can I support? Because I know you have that language because you care. You've often asked, that was something I admired about as I got to know you, was you lead with how can I support? How can I contribute? How can I give this back? Knowing that through that contribution and support, you'll become aligned with the people who you can support and will actually receive your support with the respect and reciprocity. Like they're like, thank you for your support. I'm happy to work with you. And what can I contribute back? And so the basis of the relationship is built on the contribution and support from the get-go. So when I'm saying no, oftentimes, is when someone approaches me with, well, what can I do for you? And I'm like, I'm not asking you to do anything for me. I'm looking at if there's a support factor. If you're like, how can I support you? I'm questioning, well, how can I support you? That's like my instant response is, how can we actually work together and like create something? What's your zone of genius? And it becomes more discoverable versus like transactional. When you look at discovery versus like checking boxes on something, the discovery is so much more fruitful than trying to check a box with someone. And there's times and places for that. And it's not always in partnerships.
What do you mean by that?
So in partnerships, when you can become aligned with people who are visionaries and they are rooted in contribution, they will come from a space of building versus just executing. Executing is great for operations, okay, when we have to, check boxes and cross T's and dot I's. But in contribution and building comes from a space of respect and saying, I respect this about you. I respect this part of your zone. And how can we work together to amplify our shared vision? And that's why partnerships come to life. When I look at someone's zone of genius and they are needing to lean into someone who understands, it's not just this person can solve my problem. It's this person understands why I want to solve this problem. And they're going to do so with the same care and tenacity that I would have for my brand. And it's this shared ability of caring. The best partnerships come rooted in care. They don't come in like, oh, I want to come in and execute. It's like, no, like I want to come in and I want to build with you and we'll execute together. But it's really coming from the build of the desire to build and expand.
So when you were putting a a lot of people together and, they were partnering in certain capacities to grow. Obviously with what you guys, did at mastermind.com with Tony and Dean, I think the way that company got built from my view is all through partnerships. It was
All partnership.
it was through
Yeah.
affiliate launches and joint ventures and all those types of things. I think everybody cares like, okay, yes, I want to give, but also how do you monetize a partnership? Like, what are the different ways that I can
Yeah.
do that? And what all have you observed, and how do you coaching people that way?
This is a great question. I love this so much. Okay, so a couple of different things when entering partnerships. There's obviously the opportunity exchange where people will exchange opportunities. It's not always monetary, but it's exposure. Okay, that's one avenue. The other is rev share when people come into understanding. And this is where I want the audience to hear this. You can be kind and still get paid. I want to repeat that. You can be kind and still get paid. Handshake deals don't work all the time. They don't work anymore. At the end of the day, it's okay to have contracts in place that really detail your rev share, how that's laid out, how the contribution and the parameters are set on these partnerships. So there's clarity going into the deal. There's clarity going into the partnership. That's why there are specific business lawyers and partnership lawyers and people that handle this from a objective standpoint. Not everything can be emotional, and this is where in business, it's important that it's not emotional, that you can come to the table objectively with a partner. And if you're vibing with your partner, wonderful. I love this. You can vibe and have your emotional connectivity with this person. And you should be able to have the objective conversation that says, hey, if we're going to go in on this partnership, we're going to equally be sharing our bandwidth. What does that rev share look like? What does that return on investment look like? It doesn't mean that you're shifting the conversation around and away from contribution. It's saying, hey, we got a good thing going here, and if we put these cards on the table now, we're not going to get confused later. Clarity from the start is necessary for partnerships to ultimately come to fruition and understanding. That goes for everyone in the industry. When you see people who have built brands together and they have partnerships with people like Dean and Tony, those come to the table with, do we get each other? Do we know each other? Do we care about each other? Yes. And there is spaces and places that cannot be, that are unshakable understanding. And that's very important, that those uncomfortable conversations happen so that you can be in flow with somebody and not question mark it, and there's nothing wrong with being in an observatory role as well, like in a partnership, observing, right? And saying, okay, where is this going? And the clarity of, this is our understanding. When those expectations are set from the get-go, then there's no question mark later. And then the foundation of the partnership is on, we're in this together, we're clear on this together, we can have tough conversations and come to understanding, so that as this grows, and if one partner wants to exit or if they want to sell the company, that was established from the clarity of the beginning of the partnership. And I think a lot of business owners, sometimes they get into handshake deals, and you've seen this probably many times, and some of you listening might have seen this too. So you get into a handshake deal and then someone gets hurt. Every time. Handshake deals just don't work. You come out of the gate with all this passion and all this charisma and all this caring, and you're like, I trust you. But then when the money gets involved, where's the trust go? If it's established from the beginning what the money will look like, in the trust and the understanding and agreement of contractually, the trust is still there, and it's reinforced with the contract. So that when you do become extremely profitable together, you are under the understanding of what that profit share looks like. And there is no divide or question mark later on.
And it doesn't sound like that's just in actual business partnerships, but joint ventures, affiliate arrangements,
100%.
whatever it is that you're participating in. Just make sure that, yes, I'm excited about this, but I want to make sure my legal bases are covered, and I want to know very clearly how I win in this if things go well.
Absolutely. And that's where contribution and transaction come in play hand to hand. That is necessary in those joint ventures. And I think some people who are, emotional entrepreneurs really need to lean into that more. Yes, care about it and know your numbers. There's nothing wrong with that.
You were a part of some historic launches, and we're talking about how partnerships are such a big deal. And so I want to ask a question just from a little bit of a different standpoint. It's not how do you execute on a great partnership launch of a business or an offer or something like that. How do I, from your side of this, like your side looking over the fence, how do I, as the person that wants to maybe promote somebody else or be an affiliate or earn rev share or anything like that, how do I participate and be a good partner so that, I can profit, but then also so that the company that I'm promoting or working with or whatever, how do I do that so that you guys can win too? I think everybody always like, how do I put a partner deal together? But it's like, on the flip side of this, like, how do I, as an affiliate or a joint venture partner or a rev share partner or whatever, how do I participate in a way that makes you like, man, I got to get me some more grants or brandies or whatever. Like, how have you seen that play out?
Ooh, simple answer, follow through. Like when someone is brought on as an affiliate or a partner, and they're given a playbook or they're given the swipe file and saying, this is all you have to do. If you execute and you follow through and you actually take the steps that were asked of you and you follow through on that, it will be fruitful. And then they say, okay, this person respects my process. This person follows through. This person performs in the way that I'm seeking performance. And we've seen this example from a lot of the top standing affiliates. They go all in on their required lane. Even when they're running their own events or they're doing their own things, they are following through on the agreement that they had. They are sending their emails. They are doing their posts or whatever's required of that conversation. And due to that follow through, the trust is there because the integrity is intact of I've had this agreement with you and you're following through on the agreement. Therefore, I trust you to be integral. And when all of those contracts are signed or whatever is agreed upon in regards to revenue share, it comes back to them. They feel fulfilled of like, oh, I followed through. I received the fulfillment, and that's a vice versa game. Okay. Because when a person follows through on something and they're actually rewarded on the promised follow through, and they receive their reward, then that trust is built and they're like, I'd be happy to do another launch with you. I'd be happy to do your next campaign because you followed through on the payout, just like I followed through on the give of sharing my audience or sharing this message with my platforms or whatever that may be. These are why it's called strategic partnerships.
Yeah.
Because you also want to partner with people who have the audiences that you want to partner with. So it feels aligned and not just randomized. It feels aligned. And when we are speaking to a strategic partner who has that strategic audience, the fulfillment is easier and the exchange is easier. And so that's at least what I've seen in the experience of working with individuals who follow through beautifully, and then they receive the reward of that follow through.
This has been a really good conversation. I think you've laid out quite a few things. I want to respect your time. I think you've given us an unbelievably simple framework for partnerships. Give more than you take. Be clear on the expected outcomes, and do your best to get those things in writing or agree to the terms of service, whatever, and then follow through on what you said that you were going to do, both ways. I've seen this play out. All I do every single day is put partnerships together, put deals together. It really is that simple. Everybody's like, well, it actually is very, very, very simple. Just try to give more than you take, be clear on what the expected outcomes are, and then follow through on what you said that you were going to do. If you do that, you will crush 100%. Life. It doesn't really matter what business you have. I mean, you could be doing anything. If you can do those things, man, you can really crush it.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Okay. Last question I always like to ask. How can we, as the listeners of the Partner and Profit podcast, how can we partner with you? How can we help you grow your business?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, thank you for that kindness and that gesture. At the end of the day, the way that I like to lean into this is like, how can I support you? Now that you've seen my voice or my experiences, like, how can I support? And when it's that, I'm rooted in contribution, which is why I'm showing up here today. It lights my fire to contribute and to give. And so if there's something that you would like to connect around or see, like, how can we bridge these gaps together, I'm happy to jump in and support in those areas. And if I can help you in any way, whether it's coming on your podcast or facilitating something for you, I'm happy to contribute. I'm happy to grow through that line of contribution. So thank you. That's how I can grow. And so it's just by giving. Not to sound like so, that part, but that's what lights my fire, Grant. It's like
Yeah.
I enjoy giving because I know it comes back.
Love it. That's how you can all help Brandi. Let her help you. That's
Yes, yeah, let me help you. Truly.
yes. We'll put all of the ways that people can connect with you, Brandi, in our show notes. And I would encourage anybody listening to the podcast to do this. Brandi is an amazing human. She's got an unbelievable reputation, and she's certainly making her mark right now with everything that she's got going. Brandi, thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Grant, and thank you to all the listeners today for joining us.
Love it. Love it. All right. Thank you all for continuing to listen to the Partner and Profit podcast. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.